Hi everyone, back with me again, Joseph, your host, and welcome back to Catechism for Kids. Have you ever felt a little bit lost, or far away from home, or maybe like you've made a mistake and don't know how to fix it? It's a feeling we all get sometimes. Well, today, we're going to dive into a special book in the Bible that was written for people who felt exactly like that. It's called the Book of Baruch. You might be thinking, who is Baruch? Well, Baruch was a good friend and a helper to one of the most famous prophets in the Old Testament, Jeremiah. Imagine being the assistant to a superhero of faith. Baruch's job was to write down important messages from God. Catholics believe he wrote this book to help God's people stay strong and keep their faith during a really tough time in their history. This book is like a beautiful letter from God, full of prayers, wise advice, and most importantly, tons of hope. So, get ready to discover how God calls his children back home, no matter how far they've wandered. To really understand the Book of Baruch, we need to travel back in time. Baruch lived when the people of Judah were going through something called the Babylonian exile. This means that an enemy army had conquered their land, destroyed their beautiful temple in Jerusalem, and forced many of them to leave their homes. They were taken hundreds of miles away to live in a foreign city called Babylon. Can you imagine how that must have felt? They were sad, scared, and confused. They had lost everything that was familiar to them. It was during this dark and difficult time that the Book of Baruch was likely written. It speaks directly to the pain of the people in exile, letting them know that God understood their suffering. But it wasn't just a book about sadness, it was a message of encouragement. Even though they had been taken far away, Baruch reminds them that God had not forgotten them. He was still their God, and he still loved them. The book was a way to give them comfort and help them remember God's laws and promises even when they were far from the holy city of Jerusalem. The name Baruch is right at the beginning of the book, but it's interesting to know that back then, sometimes people would write using the name of a famous, respected person. This was a way of showing that the message was important and connected to that person's teachings. So, whether Baruch wrote every single word himself, or others wrote it in his spirit, what matters most is the powerful message inside. The book points back to the things the prophet Jeremiah taught, reminding the people to be faithful. It's a book full of sorrow for their situation, but it's also overflowing with hope for the future. It was a call to the people not to give up. Even when life is incredibly hard, they were being called to turn their hearts back to God and trust in his endless mercy. One of the coolest things about the Book of Baruch is how it's written. It's not just one long story. Instead, it uses many different styles to share its message, which makes it really powerful. Some parts of the book sound like beautiful emotional poems. Other parts are written like heartfelt prayers, spoken directly to God. You'll also find sections that are like a wise teacher giving advice, or even a strong warning against making bad choices. The book actually starts with a big prayer of confession. The people are saying, God, we're sorry. We know we've done wrong. They're being really honest about their mistakes. Then, later, the tone changes. It becomes like a wise teacher talking about the importance of wisdom. The book tells us that wisdom from God is more valuable than all the gold and riches in the world. Then, there's another section that talks about false gods, or idols. It gives a very firm warning not to trust in statues made by human hands. The writer wants the people to remember that there is only one true God, the only one who can actually help them. These fake gods have no power at all. All these different styles, the poems, the prayers, the warnings work together perfectly. They speak to our hearts and our minds at the same time. The book teaches us, corrects us, and encourages us, all in just a few short chapters. Each part builds on the last, creating this amazing message about staying close to God, especially when times are tough. So, why is this book so important for us as Catholics today? Well, the Book of Baruch is filled with themes that connect directly to our faith. These messages are just as relevant for us now as they were for the people in exile thousands of years ago. First, there's the theme of confession and repentance. The book opens with a prayer of sorrow, where the people admit their sins and ask for forgiveness. This is just like the Catholic practice of confession, or the sacrament of reconciliation. We are all called to look at our lives, see where we've gone wrong, and turn back to God to ask for his mercy. Next is faith in God's mercy. Even after everything they did wrong, the people in Baruch still believed God wouldn't abandon them. They trusted he would bring them home. Catholics also believe that God is rich in mercy. It's like the father in the story of the prodigal son, always waiting with open arms to welcome us back. The book also teaches that wisdom is better than riches. Baruch says that true wisdom comes from God, and it's more valuable than gold or power. The Church teaches this too. Real, lasting happiness comes from knowing and loving God, not from having a lot of stuff. Then there's the danger of idols. The book warns people not to worship false gods. Today, we might not be bowing down to statues, but we can still have idols in our lives. An idol is anything we put before God, like money, popularity, or even video games. Baruch reminds us to keep God in first place. And finally, the most powerful theme is hope for the future. Even in the middle of their sadness, Baruch offers incredible hope. God promises to gather his people and bring them home. As Catholics, we believe that God is always working to bring us home to him in heaven, even when our lives feel dark or difficult. These themes are like a spiritual toolkit, reminding us every day to stay close to God, trust in his love, and seek his wisdom above all else. Now, let's break down the book into its main parts. Even though it's short, the Book of Baruch has a very clear structure. Each section has a different focus, and together they tell a moving story of sin, sorrow, wisdom, and hope. It starts with chapter 1, verses 1 to 14. This part sets the scene. We learn that Baruch is in Babylon, reading a scroll to the people in exile. They feel sorry for what they've done and decide to send gifts and a message back to the people still in Jerusalem, asking them to pray for them. Then, from chapter 1, verse 15, all the way to chapter 3, verse 8, we get a long, powerful prayer of confession. The people admit that they have turned away from God and disobeyed his commandments. They ask for mercy and help. This prayer feels a lot like the kind of prayers we say during Lent, when we focus on repenting and returning to God. Next up is chapter 3, verse 9 to chapter 4, verse 4. This section is all about wisdom. Wisdom is described as a beautiful gift from God. It's something we should search for and hold on to tightly, because it brings life and joy. Finally, we have chapter 4, verse 5. All the way to the end of chapter 5, this is a beautiful message of comfort and hope. It's like God is speaking directly to Jerusalem, telling the city not to be afraid. He promises to bring his people home. The sadness will end, and a time of great joy is coming. So you can see how the book moves from a place of sadness and sin to a place of hope and peace. It's a journey that reminds every reader that God is always near, ready to forgive us and lead us home. So, why does this ancient book still matter so much today? Because we all feel like we're in exile sometimes. But you feel lonely at school, or maybe your family's going through a hard time. We can all feel lost, broken, or far from God. The Book of Baruch is a powerful reminder that it is never, ever too late to turn back to him. Think about our world today. It often tells us to chase after things that don't last, like being popular, having the newest gadgets, or getting the most likes online. Baruch teaches us that true deep peace doesn't come from those things. It comes from knowing God and living according to his loving plan for us. It encourages us to seek his wisdom, not just worldly success. And more than anything, we all need hope. When life feels difficult or unfair, we need to know that God is with us. Baruch is like a whisper from God saying, I hear you. I see your struggle. I have not forgotten you. The Book of Baruch helps us to pray when we don't have the words, to think about what's truly important, and to trust in God's timing. It's a short book, but it's packed with spiritual strength. The message is simple and timeless. Stay close to God and wait with hope, because he will never let you go. You might be wondering, if this book is so great, why don't we hear it at Mass all the time? It's true, the Book of Baruch isn't read as often as some other books, but it does appear in our lectionary at very important times of the year. When it is read, it usually brings a message of hope, mercy, or wisdom. These themes fit perfectly with the seasons of Advent and Lent. For example, there's a famous passage from Baruch chapter 5 that is often read during Advent. It speaks with so much joy and promises that God will bring his people home, leading them with light and peace. This is perfect for Advent, the season when we are waiting and preparing for the coming of Jesus. It fills our hearts with hope. Another reading from Baruch is sometimes used during Lent. This one is from the prayer of confession we talked about earlier. It fits the season of Lent perfectly. As we focus on turning away from sin and back to God, it reminds us to be humble and honest about our need for God's forgiveness. So, even though it's a short book, the Church makes sure we hear its powerful message at key moments. The Book of Baruch helps prepare our hearts for Christmas and Easter, always reminding us of God's incredible promise to lead us home to Him. What a beautiful and hopeful book. It shows us a God who is patient and faithful, a Father who is always calling His children back. It invites us to be honest about our mistakes, but to never lose hope in His mercy. I really encourage you to take some time this week to read the Book of Baruch. It's not very long, and it's filled with amazing messages that might speak directly to your heart. Maybe you'll see some of your own struggles and hopes in its pages. Thanks so much for joining me today to learn about this hidden gem of the Old Testament. I hope it helps you remember that no matter where you are or what you're going through, God is right there with you, inviting you to come back home. Don't forget to like, share this video, and subscribe to our channel for more episodes of Catechism for Kids. Take care, everyone. Stay safe and healthy as usual. See you next time, and God bless you always.